because it's you low voltage.
What's up, everybody? Orange Podcast Bad. We thought we'd talk about, we'd just see if we could make everybody on the planet mad all at once. So we're going to talk about God, and we're going to talk about government. And I believe that the United States government was formed on the basis of God. I'm sure there's going to be people that totally disagree with that, and I don't know. Let's have a conversation, gentlemen. Where are you
These
at?
whole, yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Doesn't matter, man. We got an hour. We'll just.
Okay, so basically, when let's just start off here. The Constitution creates laws and restrictions for our government, right? That's basically a covenant between the people that created government and the government that basically limits the government. And when you look at the Bible, it's a direct covenant of the people. The people of the United States are not in any way, shape, or form compelled to obey the Constitution at all. Find me one war ever in the whole history of the world that wasn't government or religious based.
So,
Nick.
you brought up something interesting. Yes, the Constitution limits what the government can do, but the Congress also can write laws that govern the citizenship. And
True.
states do that, localities do that, the federal
True.
government.
Yeah, but so that's when you analyze how many things are unconstitutional. So let's build it back to basics, right? Let's start very simple. When our Second Amendment very clearly says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, right? And the Bible says that marriage is between a man and a woman, right? Those are both firmly accepted subjects, right? The Bible says marriage is, and you can't bend that, you can't warp it, you can't misinterpret it. Look at what happens with our churches nowadays.
Well, Nick,
right?
actually, does the Bible say that about one man and one woman? Because King Solomon had 750, right?
He did.
Yeah. So does it really limit it? I mean, the Mormons had more than one wife, right?
Does it limit sex?
I mean,
does it limit sex?
Well, no, it limits sex to within the marital relationship, yes, but not monogamy.
So a man,
at least not for the husband.
But so a man can marry a woman and another man. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm agreeing with you that it is a union between the sexes. What I'm saying is that it's not one man and one woman. It wasn't that specific.
Okay, so that all of that goes back to interpretation, right? And what the government can infringe upon. So then you have religious infringement, and you have biblical infringement, right? And if you noticed, when the gay pride, all those rights started 60s, right? The whole gay movement. We just want to have, we just want to marry each other and love each other. We just want to have people bake a cake for us, right? When you look at the 1960s until now, we basically have an absolute prohibition on what we used to be able to order by mail, but we also have a directly corresponding allowance in marriage, abortion principles, women pastors, which is directly forbidden by the Bible, right? Women can't be pastors according to the Bible. So all of that goes hand in hand. The further you stray from the Bible, the more the government has control. So right now, women can be pastors, a man can marry a man, a woman can marry a woman, right? But we also have the most stringent 2A and 1A infringements. And all of that was left alone until about the 60s. All of a sudden we had a freedom movement, right? Women need the right to vote, the right to marry whoever, get the government out of it.
Well, the right to vote was in the 20s.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So do you actually
Okay, well, so
think-
it wasn't all just the last 60 years.
okay, so here's the big difference: is how many husbands would actually let their wives vote or want them to vote in the 20s versus the 60s, when the man was the head of the household. You got to go back to that time.
When the 19th
I
Amendment was passed, it took 2/3 of Congress and 3/4 of the states. So the men at that time who voted on it, because women couldn't,
right.
felt that that was the right thing to do.
Yeah, and that was a 75% majority of the states. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so do you think that the women's right to vote was tied to anything biblical?
I don't see any correlation.
No, I don't either.
So if everything we're supposed to do as a general
I think
consensus on-
God is I think God is pretty silent on voting.
Yep.
the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, 1914, we started World War One, right? And
I agree. That was really a shitty decade.
Yep.
yes. Yeah, and so what happens when you print money and you devalue the currency? You need more
You
people
force-
that go to work. You need more
Right,
people
you
that go
force
to work,
women to go to work.
more people that can vote, right? And everybody was
Right.
basically sexist at that point. You know, the wife's submissive, must do whatever the husband says, biblical terms. You know, and once you warp it into what we have today, you basically have as many darts thrown at a target as possible, to where nobody can take a singular blame. So
Well,
as soon as we have
Nobody
women,
can
but
nobody
hold
can
on.
take a what?
Singular blame, like we would, to where we the people can't just say, hey, this person fucked up, right? So hold on, so let's go back a little bit. Let's say the 1913 we created the Federal Reserve, and it takes years, call it a decade, right? So 1923-ish for everything to get kind of back and forth. The people are going through changes as far as how they live their life. But once you actually really think about it, if you want women to vote, and everybody was so opposed to it, if we elect fucked up politicians, now we can blame women voters rather than shitty politicians.
Well, I think women
Does that make
absolutely
sense?
do vote. I think women absolutely do vote more emotionally than men do,
For sure.
and I think it leads to really bad. I think it leads to really bad decision making.
I disagree. I think it's one more thing that the government has thrown in the soup pot to divide us. I believe that there's a lot of very intelligent
listen,
women out there.
Nick, let me go on just a short riff here. I wasn't intending to talk that much, but this is really good. The whole State Department that you hate so much, they actually energize women, LGBT, in every country they wish to influence, because they see them as the weakest-minded fools that will go along with State Department psyops and agitate against governments that do things that the military-industrial complex doesn't like. I mean, they acknowledge it with their own actions.
I will actually, I will agree with you on how most people perceive it, but I will say it's actually the opposite. Even the pushback from everything right now, it's been a constant pushback.
You don't think that pushing trans ideology destabilizes people?
That's not what I said. But what I'm saying
that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that if somebody stands for trans ideology, I can say I'm a woman, right? With my beard right now, I can just say I'm a woman. I don't need to dress anyway.
It's
right?
however you felt this morning, Nick.
That's
Yes.
right.
Okay. Yeah, but as soon as you actually believe that, those are people that just won't back down to government. Those people actually stand up to government for their imaginary rights rather than our endowed and created rights, right?
Well, okay, but you could wake up this morning and say you're a girl, and I can say I don't have to participate in your delusion. You can't. That's what they're doing is they're trying to force me to address you as Thelma instead of Nick, and I don't. I
Okay.
refuse to participate.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the point for me is what's motivating them to stand up for their rights and who? And why are they self-selecting to do that? It's because they're picked to do that in many of the same ways that our elites pull people off of pedo islands and dress them up as candidates. They do the same thing in foreign countries with the people they consider the most emotionally vulnerable to influence them to agitate against governments that may not want to go along with the fact that the U.S. needs a military base.
Okay. So say we have these people that believe in transgender ideology, same-sex marriages, abortion, even though all of those are bad, and pretty much anybody with common sense would agree that those are bad. And then we look at the Republican Party, right? The conservatives, generally speaking, the
Right.
right-leaning
True they are.
But hold on, hear me out on this. Let me introduce you to a concept. Okay, so as soon as there was a bump stock ban or an assault rifle ban in the state, why did nobody on the right fight for something moral, such as our right and our God-given right? We are born with it, our right to defend ourselves. Why didn't we fight back? Why didn't we protest? Why aren't we waving American flags equal to waving Palestinian flags and Antifa? And granted, these people are brainwashed, but they actually stand for something. And granted, what they stand for is complete bullshit. But in my opinion, I want those people on my team. If they actually stand for something and they believe that they're a woman and they're willing to fight for the death for it, I want them to come to our side and say, hey, look, how do you defend your transgender ideology? You need guns, number one, and you need freedom of speech, right? So I actually think that the transgender fuckers that are fucked in the head need free speech and they need guns to defend their ideology. And
the way you convince them to come to our side is to endorse them with special rights and privileges so they can act out on our money. And that's not the kind of society we want to live in.
So that's what we have, not what it should be. I'm saying if you want to be transgender and you want the ability to publicly say on any platform out in the streets and you want to protest for pro-Palestine, pro LGBTQAI+++, ultra magnum pi sign, I don't give a shit. If you want that, you want to defend the right to free speech, period. And the only way to secure free speech is the right to bear arms. So I actually think that the whole LGBTQ bullshit woke ideology, once they understand that they have to have the right to free speech and they need something to secure it, they will actually be the biggest opponents that will help us in the First and Second Amendments.
I don't know if you're ever going to get them there. Their ideology is everything Trump is evil and we must destroy it. We must destroy the West. Capitalism is bad.
Patriarchy.
Right. I don't think you're ever going to get them across that line.
But nobody ever thought that, that if you go back to the 1920s when women were allowed to vote, now women can marry each other and pastor a church. Everybody said that was impossible. And everything that I'm saying that right now, of course, it's not going to happen in the next, 5-10 years, but it's definitely possible. Go back to the 1960s and say that a court says that a bakery has to bake a gay couple a cake for their wedding. And say that's what the court decided. All of these are impossibilities. They're actually very possible. And eventually, their anti-Trump hatred will wear off. And they will rely on the free speech and their own liberty. I promise you this. You guys can laugh all you want. I don't give a shit. They will actually go back to, I need free speech. I am trans. Leave me the fuck alone. And all they want is less government. Right? They want to say whatever the hell they want, and they want the ability to defend it. And right now, they rely on the government. They rely on the government. They rely on the government to defend it.
There's been drag queens since the beginning of time. This whole trans thing is a psyop that these poor people have been opted into. The drag queens are the ones who just wanted to be left alone to do their thing at the bar at night, have fun with their friends, and then go home, go back to work dressed up in normal clothes. It was fun for them. This whole trans movement they got psyoped.
But how do you?
Listen, it came from our State Department.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely did. Look, we're running it. Our State Department's been running a color revolution in the United States.
Yes.
Until he won this last election and got Rubio in there. Even who was the head of the State Department last time? Was it Pompeo?
Yep.
Yeah. You think they weren't involved in a color revolution against Trump? You've got to be kidding. Pompeo's as dirty as Tel Aviv Levin.
Sure is.
Okay, so there is a way to use this wokeism against them, right? And as soon as everything white is bad, being racist against white people is still racist, right? And once they wake up to that, right? Like, well, I'm black, I deserve this. And like white people are like, just leave me alone, I just want to go to work. Eventually the tides will flip. It might not be in the next 2 years. It might not be in the next 4 years. It might not be in the next 8 years. But as soon as they realize that they've been psyoped and they've been fucked, hold on, hear me out. If they had that stand strong mentality to take over bridges, take over towns, get tear gas, get maced, and then once they realize it's a psyop and it's all bullshit and they've been lied to, and they actually want to go after the government to stop the government from this stupid shit ever happening again, we want those people on our side. And it's not going to happen tomorrow, not next year. Those people that are just willing to go gung-ho into something, we want those people. We don't want them to say pro-LGBTQ, but once they realize...
If you ever want to get them to realize what has happened to them, you have to vote their party out of power for a couple of generations. It will take a couple of generations for them to realize what happened.
Yes.
So,
you know what, boys? Sorry to be a latecomer. I had some difficulty for whatever reason.
What's up, Edward?
Well,
yeah, Edward, you just don't do computers. We know.
I know, I get it, but back in now, and I have to say, listen to the conversation so far, I don't know who everybody's talking about the trans being the people that are going to die for whatever cause, and they're so courageous, and because they're not. If they were, they wouldn't need the law to back them up. They would have left and lived their lives quietly as they were without the lawfare backing them up, with every slang word or whatever else people are throwing at them. And, if they were just to be totally left to their own devices, they would shrink to nothing and run away. That's the facts. They're not strong, courageous people.
And they want to end the First Amendment because they don't want you to call them names. They're the ones that want to end the Second Amendment because they think guns are scary.
Yep, we go after them.
Well, unless they're a school shooter, yeah.
Sadly.
So when was the last time we as Republicans shut down highways and got arrested to uphold the First or Second Amendment?
How about January 6th?
Yeah, that's soon enough.
That was also a government psyop, and that was involving the President of the United States rather than the Congress policy.
Yeah,
but there was plenty of conservatives there.
Yeah.
And it was about, and don't think that wasn't a political thing, Nick. That was about free and fair elections, which it was not.
Correct.
And it absolutely insulted every person that was there to the bone of their being.
Yep.
I was planning to go. I mean, thank God I didn't, but in some ways I feel guilty about it.
Well, I don't know about feeling guilty after you know what happened, but that wasn't anything that conservatives or Republicans did to them or America. That's what the government did to them. It's the other way around. So
let me throw you some red meat here. What the untold story of that day was the Israelis' connection with the Biden campaign and the Pegasus software and the stuff that pulled all the information off those Patriot cell phones that allowed the FBI to chase them to the tip of Alaska when they can't even figure out who left a bag of cocaine in the West Wing.
True.
I know that. I know the answer to that one already.
So, how was the FBI created? Does anybody here know?
J.
Oh,
Edgar.
it was those same years, wasn't it? Wasn't it between 1910 and 1920?
It was whatever Hoover was in.
Okay, so
All we did was make mistake after mistake and federalize everything. Direct election of senators, huge mistake. Women's suffrage, huge mistake. IRS, huge mistake. IRS was never even created. They just repealed the 16th Amendment, or passed it or whatever, allowing direct taxation, and then they just started collecting money. I mean, it's never been created, but they do it.
yeah, but so the FBI technically does not exist.
I figured that was the case.
You can actually ask Rock or whatever if anybody here gets a chance. Just look it up. Does the FBI have a charter? In order to be officially recognized federally, you have to have a charter. Sean, I'm sure you can type it in or whatever. The FBI. Wait, let's say hi, buddy.
Hi.
Hey,
So
Nick, same charter as the IRS.
no, that is not true. The IRS actually has a charter. The FBI does not have an official charter. The FBI has no official charter. They've weaseled it in there to where FBI agents have a charter.
Wow.
And the FBI is under the sole jurisdiction of the Attorney General of the United States.
Yes,
You can look it up yourself.
that's true.
There is no
Yeah,
official there is no official charter that allowed the creation of the FBI, period. It was originally during guess what created the FBI? Guess what created it? Prohibition.
Of
Prohibition.
course, sure.
And the FBI, the Attorney General of the United States, wanted somebody with guns and a badge to go out there and get the people that fought Prohibition. That's
They
also the same thing
They
that
used
created
Treasury
NASCAR.
Department officials too to go for same thing for prohibition because they had got in a badge.
But the FBI has no official charter at all. The FBI is 100% unconstitutional, and it's under the sole jurisdiction of the Attorney General of the United States. So if you get a Democratic president, whoever they pick for their Attorney General is 100% in charge of and 100% controls the FBI. It's actually built into their false bullshit legislation that the Attorney General can actually change the FBI's operating guidelines at any time without a notice for any reason.
Yep,
Look it up.
totally. That's you're not wrong. Not at all.
Let's be simple, Esther C.
Take time, look around, and if you haven't found a car,
You posted an interesting question earlier. Somebody ripped on me because my auto spelled profit as in money and not profit. I thought that was hilarious. Hey, Edward, he asked, what was it, Nick? Why do other religions or why do other cultures use BC and AD? And I pointed out that even the Muslims recognize Jesus as a prophet, but not the Son of God.
Yeah, so that was actually my original post. I wasn't copying anybody's post.
I said it was yours.
And what I said was like, if Islamic nations hate us, right? Both the religion and the government, they still obey the BC AD calendar, which means that even though they hate Christianity and say it's not the true religion, they still, as a country and a religion, are subservient to the BC AD calendar, and they have never disavowed it.
But why would they want to? That's a worldwide known thing. I mean, that's the line. That's the turn over the new date. I mean, that's just for everybody.
But what would you do if the religion that you were taught when you were shitting in your diapers by your parents, that Christian is bad, Christian doesn't exist, we need to take over Christianity, and somehow all the generations of Islam since about 700 AD still have not disavowed the Christian calendar? Right?
Like it's more. They look at it again more as he is a historical figure that they recognize. They know he was the prophet of the Jews. They don't claim that he had any power or the ability to save souls, but he was a Jewish prophet, no different than Muhammad was a prophet of Allah.
Right.
It's
Okay,
just
so
an acknowledgement of a historical figure for them.
and one thing that's funny that real quick, and then I'll be quiet for a little bit. One thing they can do to a Muslim, no ill will, no hatred. You just ask them that same question in real life. If you see a Muslim, hey, look, like, I'm Christian, you're Muslim, I don't hate you, even though I do. But you can actually lie to them just like they're allowed to lie to us. Hey, dude, why do you accept Jesus Christ's death in your religion right now? Like what day and what year is it? You still accept
So I've
Jesus
actually,
Christ
that's
dying.
what's great. I've had conversations with Muslims, Saudi Muslims specifically, and they say, they actually will tell you that they believe the religions are actually kind of similar. We just have the wrong God. But they totally acknowledge Jesus exists or existed, and that he lived for 33 years, and that he was a Jewish prophet.
Yeah. So the question is really, what is the question? The timeline?
So basically, what I'm saying is, like, every single conflict on Earth is either religious based or the government made us do it. Every single war, you go back to BC times, it is either government, a king, a monarchy, associated with religion, usually. And even in America, like, 18-year-olds are like, cool, I'm American. I love Jesus Christ. I'm willing to go to Desert Storm because they might have weapons of mass destruction that'll hurt my country. And when we allow a government to take advantage of religious principles, everything goes south. That's what I'm saying.
So wars that happen in Africa, wars that I can't. It's tribalism. It had nothing to do with a religion or a government. So there's plenty of examples that wars have happened. The Crusades was not a religious war, and everyone's going to go, "What, Edward? Were the Crusades a religious war?"
No, but they're not going to understand that whole history going back to the Muslim domination. And Muslim and government are the same thing anyways. That's what makes North America so separate and different and set apart from the rest of them, because what we worship, we don't have as a government. And we should go back to the foundation of that perhaps. But Muslims, their whole government is controlled by their religion. And I use that term loosely, their belief. So therefore, everybody's run by their belief. The government, the people, everything. It's the same thing. America's not the same.
Our currency says, "In God we trust," directly on it. There is zero difference.
Zero difference.
Our government can't tell us what religion or what church we can go to on Sunday. Muslim governments tell you the only church is the Church of Allah.
That's right.
Does that include government tyranny during COVID, or just whenever they feel like it?
All the time.
Governments can be good, bad, and ugly, and they're always good, bad, and ugly. I don't know that has any influence from whatever they believe. I mean, it's inherent. It was founded on Christian principles, but it was also left so that we, the people, could worship God in however we felt we wanted to worship God, and they couldn't force us into a church like the Church of England.
Right. Which is what we ran away from to get to America, or form America to begin with. So,
And the Church of England, how do you associate that with the King James Version of the Bible?
What do you mean? How do I? Because the King James Version is the most accurate of all Bibles. So, but that King James was a different kind of king than the rest that we've mainly been throwing information about at. So yeah, there's that. And it wasn't his interpretation. There was 54 scholars that sat in a room and all it took the Greek writing and interpret it into what we have in English or the King James Version. Now we have the New King James Version, which is in our everyday English language, but that's how that came about. So it's the most accurate, and the Dead Sea Scrolls back that up. That it's word for word, it is exact, never been changed from the original doctrine.
So let me ask you a question real quick. What does the Bible do for you? What does the Bible offer you?
Everything. It's got every story in it, every information, every what would you say, scenario in life thrown at you. It's already been in the Bible. It's already been done, said, thought of, lived out, and I'm just reading it again with my eyes in that situation. So therefore, I'm not always reading to find myself in there, but our Father in there, because it's all about Him and not us. But I can see His character through all those stories and what He does, how He thinks, how He reasons things out, that type of wisdom that we don't have. We can get it through asking for it, and sometimes we don't even want that. But that's what it does for me. It's just to see our Father through our human eyes and experiences.
So, let me sum it up. If I didn't have the Bible, I couldn't be a decent human being and figure things out in life because I need the Bible for a guideline.
Nobody says that.
Well, I think
That's what he just said.
yeah, because I don't think you would have "Thou shalt not kill." That had to be put in there because everybody was killing everybody for whatever reason. He says, "Wait, stop! You're carrying this too far." And then we get into the New Testament where He throws a whole new command at us to love your enemies. Now that is so anti-human that I don't know what would be more anti-human besides that one statement there, because our human nature and the nature of love are always at war with each other, always in opposition. You cannot have that nature of love and the human nature together at peace. It's impossible. So when you say we can have a brand new society, well, who's going to determine whose desires are correct? Because everybody has their own desires. There are many. So whose desires are we going to follow?
Can you again? Can you give me one single example to where there was a feud between people and even tribal, right? That's basically mute. But when it comes to the creation of the United States, World War I, World War II, Moses and the Jews fleeing Egypt, every single bit of that was religious based, and I can't believe the Bible. I will say it right here on public space, and anybody can record it and throw it in my face. I don't care. If I was chasing somebody and they claimed to be a man of God and they parted a Red Sea in front of me, I would not have chased after them. Period.
I couldn't understand half of that. It kind of mumbled a bit there. You broke up. But I'll give you,
Okay.
as a Canadian, I'll give you an American view as far as opposition or differing opinions and whatnot. The Hatfields and the McCoys. Simple, basic misunderstanding, but they've been going at it for how many years before that was solved?
Because always somebody, which the Bible tells us, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And that's
Old
actually what they
Testament.
believed in.
That was
That
old.
caused that.
That was Old Testament.
Old Testament, yeah. The New Testament is the new will and testament of our Father. That's what that means. The new will, not the old one, the new one. And
So-
that is, of course, loving your enemies. So tough thing to do.
So me, man, I try to grow a lot of shit. I really enjoy my time in nature. There's times to where you can have the best bait on the planet. I tie my own flies, and you just won't get a fish to eat. It just won't eat unless you snag it, right? And I feel like almost all of religion is somehow trying to impart some sort of principle that we knew from birth. Like I don't need the government to tell me that my son hitting a cat is wrong. I don't need that, right? Like we already know that. I don't need the government to tell me how to think or how to act, right? Because if we needed government at all, and I do believe in evolution to a certain point, because if we were Adam and Eve, how did Adam's Did God send down some surgeons? And I'm actually not being sarcastic when I say this. If God actually gave his rib to create Eve, did he send surgeons down, or did he just do it himself?
Well,
Basically, I
if we-
refuse to believe in make believe. I believe all people are good inherently.
See, that's
I
what
actually
we
believe.
I do not. I believe all people are evil inherently. I do not believe people are good normally or naturally or even born that way. I believe they're born into this evil, well,
They're born
person
sinners.
that we
We're
have.
we're all born sinners.
Yeah, evil, not good. And even as we grow up, we can see that if we open our eyes and look around, we can see that that is not a good thing because very few people you're going to meet in your life are truly good, do no evil, and they have no hidden agenda where they're trying to work out or work on or expel something that they're not telling anybody about because of secret agenda, of course, that they're trying to bring to fruition without telling the whole world, especially you or you or you. So, yeah. That's it's plain as day.
But isn't that the perfect description of religion? And I actually believe that that's why baptism was created. Was you went against the religion, you done fucked up. You can be a born again Christian and try again.
Good.
No matter how bad you fuck up, you'll get another chance.
Correct.
But isn't that human nature to begin with?
What is?
It doesn't need to be written.
What's
No.
human?
I don't think it is. Because if you're looking around at people that have never heard the Bible, that they wouldn't have the same moral feelings that we had that were taught. Maybe some through our parents, some through school.
Correct.
Right. Go into Muslim parts of China who have never ever seen a Bible in the 6,000 years that their people have been walking northern China.
Yeah.
They would not believe the same moral values that America inherently, at least
But
They do
but I
not.
they
bet,
may not follow, but
but I
says
bet if you
outside
walk
wrong.
if you walked into their house and you kicked off their shoes and tried to listen to them, they're probably way better people than you would think they are.
I didn't say there are bad people to begin with.
No,
I just don't follow their beliefs or what they believe in. I didn't say they're bad or I hate them. I just don't follow what they subscribe to, and it's nonsense. And which is why Christianity is a fast growing religion and faith there. Of course, you're jailed if you get caught with Bibles and having meetings or whatnot. So if it's such a good thing, why are they jailing people for talking about it?
I don't think it's as bad as you think it is. Even though CCP is bad, I don't think it's as bad.
What do you
The
mean?
wealthy-
What is bad? What is as bad?
when people say CCP,
Yeah,
there are billionaires.
but they're not working within.
no,
the
yeah. We've talked
the
about
elite.
this though briefly. This is where Reagan thought he could destroy their mindset and make them believe Western values by introducing pseudo communist but capitalist ways by sharing trade with them,
But
by having
remember,
opening the West up to them to trade with.
The
Before
elite.
that, they had been completely isolated from us, living in a bubble, and they were all living in mud huts.
A lot of
Right,
dudes
right,
say
right.
as well. But remember, the elites never follow the rules of communism. The rulers never follow their own rules given to the people. So you could say, whatever we say, you have to do. We don't have to do it necessarily, but you definitely have to. Rules for thee, but not for me. You've
Okay.
all heard that saying
Yeah.
before. That's
So-
exactly a communist country. So when you say there's billionaires, enough, it's because the elites don't follow the same rules. They can do whatever they want because they're part of the government. Sort of like ours in America here or in North America. Same thing happens. You can't throw them in jail. They've lied their asses off, but you can't do that. They get busted with drugs. You can't throw them in jail because they're above the law. You see what I'm saying?
So, did you know that in the entire history of the United States, not one person in Congress has ever been charged for
Of
lying
course.
to the people that they represent? Not one.
I agree.
Not one.
Uh huh.
They
Because
can't. They have immunity.
above the law. People say that the law is distributed evenly amongst all the citizens. Well, that's a lie. That's never been true. And people got to stop saying that, because that has
Well,
never been true. It is the biggest lie that messes everybody up, because it's not equal.
it's a class system. It's a two-class system.
Uh-huh.
It just that's the way and no, that's not the way the
Didn't
founders
start out that
set
way,
up.
son.
They tried to prevent that,
Right.
but just
Correct.
that's the way of human beings, and that's their nature. If they can find a way to take advantage or exploit a system, they will every time. Look at any computer software system that's ever been built. Somebody exploits it. Then they have to come in and build a new one.
And
Somebody exploits
99% of the time when our Congress lies to us, as far as speech and debate clause, it's not speech or debate, right?
What do you mean?
But somehow SCOTUS has misinterpreted it, right? So the speech, right, directly addressing your constituents, that would be a speech, because back then they didn't have social media. That would be a speech. So you can lie to
Correct.
your constituents. As soon as you lie to other constituents, that is perjury. That is
But
lying.
I sent you that interview with Thomas Massey explaining that even if I go on a podcast, yeah, it's not all my constituents, but it's a public forum. It's part of my job as a congressman. Thomas Massey said, "Yeah, I don't choose to, but I could just sit here and lie to your face the whole time. I'm 1,000% immune, and that's coming from a guy you like."
Yeah, and he's honest about that, and that's based on Supreme Court decisions.
Yeah,
But he is correct. Standing legislature right now, anybody, Jasmine Crockett could go on
and she does all the time.
and Fox News, but literally say, I have seen a video of Donald Trump raping a 6-year-old. And
Right,
she
and
won't get charged.
never be held accountable, never get a defamation case or suit,
Yeah,
never be
but
criminally held liable. Yeah,
yeah, so debate clause is logged, right? Speech means to their people. So as soon as we got to look at the founding fathers' times. They did not have the ability to broadcast to everybody, right? And if you're lying to your constituents, they can
they
figure out if
did.
you're
It
lying.
took about a week. They did.
Yeah, but
They had the free press.
but
Newspapers.
the speech and debate clause
Correct.
means speech to the people that you represent in Congress, which means your state. The debate clause means debating with people, right?
No, I would be debating on the
Alright.
floor.
Yeah, well, other members of
Speech is
Congress.
debate clause. So debate is I can lie on the floor. Speech is I can lie
Yeah.
in public.
Yes, but that's the misinterpretation of the Supreme Court. They were never our Congress was never supposed to be able to blatantly lie to the people and all people, right? So say you're in whatever state you're in, say you're in fucking Florida, right? You can lie to your constituents, but they will figure out those lies and they will hold you accountable and they will vote you out. There's nothing in the Constitution at all that allows a congressperson to lie unilaterally to the whole United States population on a social media platform, because that did not exist at the time of our Constitution.
That's the same argument that liberals make to say that we should only have muskets.
The single shot musket.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think we should go back to ball shot muskets? Because that you're making the same
that-
argument that the
that-
liberals
that's
make
not-
for muskets.
No, that's not the same.
Because we didn't have AR platforms when the founding fathers wrote the Constitution.
But when you
didn't
look
have
at when you look at the speech and debate clause, it doesn't very clearly say that it shall not be infringed. It says that they have freedom to talk however the hell they want, and they can argue with fellow politicians and make a speech to their constituents, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
When the right to keep
The amendment is for everybody, not just members of government. It's for everybody.
But this is
Everybody.
a little different than First Amendment, Edward. This is a speech and debate clause which says that Congress shall not be held liable for telling a lie, whether in debate on the floor or in speech, whether that would have been newspapers, back at the time to the people they represent. But that's what I sent you that Thomas Massey video, though, Nick, is he's like, I am reaching when I make a social media post. It might go wider than my constituents, but I'm still talking to my constituents. I'm free to do it.
So hold on. If you hear me out on the founding fathers, when the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, that is an absolute prohibition to the government even defining what an arm is. The speech and debate clause, it actually gives very clear guidelines to and from, right, on the debate floor and their constituents. It actually gives very clear guidelines. I don't know if you can pull it up. I'm sure it's right there. Like, during their travel, they can't be arrested, but they can't go lying everywhere. Their Congress is not unilaterally allowed to lie.
I guess we just have to disagree, and none of them have ever been held accountable for it. Maybe the first one you'll see to get held accountable for it might be the J6 committee, but I don't have any good faith that they're actually going to do that.
Nothing will happen.
If Adam Schiff actually goes down, it's going to be for mortgage fraud. It won't be for the Russia hoax. It won't.
No,
It won't be for lying to constituents.
Correct. Absolutely agree.
right.
The only way they're going to get him is on civil violations or felonies,
Tax
mortgage
evasion.
fraud,
Yeah,
mortgage fraud, criminal felony.
yeah.
So I totally agree. His Russia lie on late night TV that he always talked about it on Colbert and you name him. And he could say, I was talking to constituents when I said that to Colbert on national television.
Yeah,
He'll
but
get away with it.
you have to keep in mind there was a reason why that was put in there, because the founding fathers wouldn't outwardly say, well, you can lie to the constituents all you want. That's not how that came about. I can tell you right now that was not meant for that reason. And you're going to have to prove to me that the founding fathers said that, yep, if you're voted in office, you can lie, your ass off to anybody you want while you're in the house. That's not true. Wouldn't have done that.
So what it was written in for, and this isn't in the first. It wasn't in the first 10 amendments. This comes later. This isn't even an amendment. It's just it's a law. It's not in the Constitution. It's not in the 7 articles. It's not in the Bill of Rights. It's a law that gives them this, and this was so that they could openly provide debate, basically on the floor, to prove a point. And yeah, I know, I agree, it's stupid too. I think Nick agrees it's stupid and ludicrous, but this is why, the way Massey explains it, it was so that you could make an oral argument on the House floor to prove somebody's being completely obtuse. I looked. But remember, they ran that floor much more like Parliament back in those days too, where everybody was yelling and screaming and throwing fist fights and challenging each other to duels, going out and fist fighting in the street out in front of the people's house.
That's not true. They actually had more organization than we have today.
They had what?
More organization than we have today.
Moral or more?
More organization. They actually dressed up in suits and wigs and conducted themselves as gentlemen. Our Congress right now is a fucking disrespectful shithole that only aims to fuck us.
That's true.
There's that one dude that wears a hoodie all the time. He seems pretty popular in his state.
Who's that? What's that?
Fetterman.
John Fetterman.
Oh, John
Fetterman, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so we still got time, but I wanted to get back into this thing about something that gets me, Nick, all the time, and says, well, I see Christians doing this, and if that's what a Christian would do, I want nothing to do with religion. And I want to come back and say, you got to understand that we were all born sinners. God says so in the Bible. We're born sinners. And going to church or being a Christian, if you actually are trying to do the right thing, you're going to visit a hospital every Sunday. You're going to get healed. You're going to get healthy. You're going to try to be better. Churches are not supposed to be a place for saints. It's a hospital for sinners trying to get well.
Do you go to church on a weekly basis?
No, used to
Yeah, I used to.
lots.
So when they pass around that donation plate, tax free from your taxed income, it's just another place to put money out. I don't need a written document written by man for man to tell me how to be a good dad. I don't need that. I don't need a document written by government to protect my family. I don't.
Come look at this.
One second, buddy. I don't need anything to tell me how to protect my boy. Whether it's written by government, written by religion, I don't give a shit.
Maybe
You
not.
come here in my log cabin.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe not now because you've lived in the culture long enough. I agree to a certain point, but I'm talking, and you're talking about people from all around the world who don't have the same advantage growing up with the same information. So you're starting up here. We're talking about people starting way down there, have no idea, no clue about anything. So you're you have them at their disadvantage, really, when you're talking that way. If you said that when you're like 2 years old, and I say, yeah, not a chance. You have no idea what you're talking about, and you're probably going to end up over here or in jail or something because you were too stupid to know any better. But now that you've been part of the culture, of course, you know better than that. So that's a moot argument, moot point.
So actually teach my kids how to be kids, and I know they're gonna make mistakes, but actually I can give my daughter the keys right now to like a 1988, well, actually 1989. Did a little bit of work to it. 5.9 Cummins stick shift, 6-speed. I
Right.
give her the keys to that. She can drive by herself to the mailbox, get the mail, back it up, and turn around.
Well, oh, yeah,
don't-
but what I think the point Edward's making is that's because we all live in the most advanced society that the world has ever seen. Go
Correct.
to South Sudan and ask. Man, I wish Paul could have joined us tonight because he's witnessed this
Oh
as
yeah.
he's tried to train people on gifted government vehicles, right? That they couldn't even figure out how to open a door, let alone get in and drive a car. They had no idea how to do anything with it. Yeah, well, but they're 1,000 or 1,500 years culturally behind the West.
Yeah.
But that can be made up generationally in a very short. Granted, our time right now,
We've been
1,500
trying
years.
to
Yes.
do that since the end of World War II, and they just don't care. They don't want to learn. They want to herd goats and live in huts.
They want
Okay.
a very simple life. That's
Yeah,
all.
I want to be Amish and leave me the fuck alone. I don't want any government. I don't want any hospital. Fuck off.
In,
Leave me
in
alone.
America, you can do that though.
You can be
No, I
Amish.
can't. But I'm still gonna have taxes. I'm still gonna even to go to the store or even to go on the roads to sell what I grow. I'm still gonna have to comply with the bullshit laws.
Yeah, but
I'm not
Amish
free.
people
I'm
don't
not
sell
free.
to Amish people are not growing to sell to corporations, though. They're growing to feed themselves and look after
Yes.
themselves.
So where do they sell it? They still have to go out in public, which means they are in commerce, which means the state will fuck them, and the people buying it have to pay taxes, rather than just going directly to the Amish or the Amish going directly to you. The government middlemans everything. The problem is the fucking government.
I know.
No,
that.
I don't disagree with the government tries to fuck with Amish. There's a huge Pennsylvania Amish population. There's Ohio. There's Indiana. There's a huge Canadian Amish, and for the most part, they are actually left alone, exempt as a religious group. Yes, you say, well, they have to get on the roads, so they have to buy that orange triangle to go on the back of their horse buggy and stay on the correct side of the road. Otherwise, the cop's going to pull them over.
But
a
a
cop pulling
tractor,
over a horse buggy? Come on.
but a tractor has to have the same slow-moving vehicle sign as a
Yeah,
horse
well,
buggy.
and then
Well,
when they
different.
when they sell at market, they're not collecting sales tax from anything. No
Yeah.
different than if you set up a market at your house
Yeah.
with your produce. I doubt you're going to collect sales tax and pay the government on your
Correct.
wares.
No, I ain't paying the government a goddamn thing. Government does not represent me. All the government does is hurt me.
That's where I'm at. Like the Amish literally have almost no control from the Canadian government, those states I listed, or the United States federal government.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister-in-law, my wife's sister, lives in Pennsylvania,
Oh, nice.
so I'm very familiar with that. And but why can't we? Why can't I sell you something? Why can't we do business between each other as a personal transaction without the government fucking with us?
The barter system's legal.
And, unless you cross state lines.
I don't know.
Look, I get what you're saying, but I'm not going to pay you using the PayPal app. I show up and whatever I said I was going to pay you with, whether it was goats or cash, and then you give me whatever I was going to buy, we part ways and say, toodaloo.
Uh-huh. That's it.
And yeah, is the IRS pissed about it? Yeah, but they have no record of that transaction. What are they going to do?
So let me tell you how stupid the government is, right? Find a state where raw milk sales are illegal. Texas, especially where I live, it's legal and it's encouraged. So just raw milk, right? I cannot sell you raw milk, period. But if you come to my farm, I can sell you 2 chicken eggs for $8, and I can give you a gallon of raw milk.
That's no, and people have been getting around government their entire life by doing just that.
But that's the point. We don't need to get around. Leave us alone. I'm tired of trying to figure out how to get around government. That's what costs.
Way too late for that now, because too many people that don't have anything to offer need the government to keep surviving. They need the handouts. They need the help up. They just don't want to be everything they could be.
And that's why governments have always, doesn't matter the government, set up a welfare class.
Uh-huh.
And the more that they can get on the welfare class, Nick, you know this, the more control they have over everybody.
Yeah. Yep. So say I go to my local Kroger and I shoplift, right? And the cops show up and write me a shoplifting ticket.
Right.
You can basically insert business, the family-owned business, the corporate empire, whatever, right? I get issued a shoplifting ticket. I go to court. I plead not guilty. They're like, well, here you are on camera, putting this in your pocket, them, confronting you. Basically, you can't beat it. So the government will issue a fine, right?
Uh-huh.
That fine does not go to the business that I stole from. The government keeps it.
I saw the post you made about this, and I had a question. I was just busy. I wasn't able to reply. Did the shop get their merchandise back?
No.
We often know the cops usually, when I retail managed for 15 years, cops usually gave us all our merchandise back.
Yeah, so you get the merchandise back. But
so I'm not out any money anymore.
Yeah, but the government takes additional money from you for stealing from somebody else.
I don't disagree. That's a civil penalty.
So when you steal, the government steals money from you. Rather than
it's more
that's because they're imposing a civil penalty on you for punishment for your bad behavior. And if the store gets all their merchandise back, for the most part, most of it's going to be sellable.
Depending on, you know what, that's true to a certain point, but they don't always get all their,
No, totally agree. Dude, Edward, totally, 15 years. I've been robbed. My pharmacy has been robbed.
Yeah.
OxyContin, you name it, has been robbed at gunpoint. We never recover it. Of course we take losses.
Of course, yeah. I was just going to say, But that money that the government got was because they were still administering justice and the police and the court system that someone had to pay for. So that money and fine went towards that as well, instead of just the store. So they're still having and still getting their just desserts through those fines and the monies because of the work that they are doing to uphold justice or do the best job they can of doing that.
So once you believe in that system, you believe, like I have, because I've been to prison myself, no matter what the government does, you're just going to have basically smarter criminals. The only way to actually fix behavior would be to take that person that stole from that store, bring the constable there, bring their parents there. You know, say you stole at 16 years old, bring your parents there and say, hey, look, you're going to fucking mop these bad, bathrooms right now. You're going to squeaky clean these fucking bathrooms. You're actually going to provide some sort of service for the store that you tried to steal from. Because stealing from people isn't okay.
You're trying to say, yeah, you must somehow repay, some sort of restitution, no matter if it's monetary or not, still has to be paid to the offender, no matter what it is. Fine. I don't care if that's the way you. That's good. I think everybody's good with that.
Yeah, legislate it. Make it so.
Yeah.
Not going to fight you on that.
We don't need the government. The government has never fixed anything. It will never fix anything. When somebody steals from a store, right? So say your 16-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid goes and shoplifts with their friends, right?
Uh-huh.
You drag them back there, right? The parents, the business should call the parents because they know who you are. And you drag your kid back there by the damn ear. You say, you're going to mop these damn hallways. You're going to take out the trash. You're going to fulfill a whole person's job, for 8 hours. Because stealing from people is fucked up. Stealing from a business is fucked up. You need to make a change.
That's going to go back down to parenting. And I'm going to tell you, there's been times that parents have found their kids got home with their pockets stuffed full. And they drag their kid by the ear. Oh, yeah, I got it from Mr. Sean's whatever pharmacy retail. And so they're like, Mr. Sean, can we talk to you? Empty your pockets, son. But that's a unique situation where parents are willing to do that. Right now, we live in a world where, Nick, you're probably the last one on earth that would. I'm telling you, most parents right now they might punish their kid, but they're not going to publicly embarrass them by bringing them to a store and saying, you're going to do whatever Mr. Sean says you're going to do for the next 8 hours.
It's not as public as you might think. And granted, going to court is probably more humiliating than this public display. So you go into the owner's office, right, or the store manager's office, and you say, hey, look, my kid stole from your store. They fucked up. We want to make it right. And say your kid didn't get caught. Say the cops weren't called. You figured out that your kid stole. Hey, let's go fix this. We don't need the government.
I've had a set of parents bring a kid in, but again, that's unique. That's not like that's why we have. So, that's why you ask, why do we need government? Because 99% of human beings on Earth right now in today's culture would not grab their kid by the ear, drag them into the store, and make the correction and make the teaching tool. Therefore, you have to have a law, which we all think suck, to so that you could make it preventable, or try to discourage it. That's the correct word.
No, what you need is the people telling the other people to say this type of behavior is not okay.
It's never going to happen. It's never happened in the history of the world ever.
It used to.
Bad shit. No, people are born sinners. They do bad shit.
But it's as soon as you ask the government to write legislation and be in charge of it, I'm not saying
government doesn't get corrupt. The reason governments exist is because people can't control themselves.
But people will never control themselves. But there are people that can control other people for the better good. And as soon as there's any written law,
you're just going to start micro governments. You're going to start with a small town.
No.
It's going to legislate. Yeah, it'll start all over. It always does. Through the history of human beings, Every time a government evolves, small governments start back up and then they grow. That's just the human way.
Yes, but that's better than the federal government we have right now.
Look, I don't want total anarchy. You and I are totally different in the way we believe. You believe there should be zero government. I believe there should be government. I would like less government, but you are to the point where you're like, we don't even need government. I want zero government. You think that humans, by nature, are moral and good, and they would police themselves. And I will tell you, in the 5,000 years of recorded history we have of humans, that's absolutely false. It always ends in war.
So what I'm saying is not get rid of all government. I'm saying that the government should always be smaller than the people. And if the government fucks up, the people need to be able to overthrow it.
If we got people to actually show up and vote in primaries in this country, we have that system.
Okay, I'm not talking about voting. I want the people's power, real power.
That's the
To be stronger
power.
than
That's
government.
the power, is to fire
Fuck,
bad
no.
people.
Okay, so 1776 wasn't, let's fire Great Britain. That was like, we're willing to die for our freedom. And we need that ability, right? And
We still have the ability. It's written into our Constitution. We're just not at a point where we're ready for revolution.
yes, but the more we can constrain the federal government's powers, right? As soon as you have government, like you said, even the most local municipal, a city with 17 people, eventually that government will grow into a tyrannical beast. We need to resist the urge that we need government. That's the only way to fix it.
Totally, and all right, we ran long. Only reason we ran so long is because me and Nick, you always come up with great stuff, stuff we could debate on, and good topics. I agree with you, but our Constitution still gives us the powers. We're just not using them because we can't get anybody to show up to vote. Yeah, you do. I do. We tried to convince Edward to fly down and participate too, but he was like, nah, man, nah, I'm good. But like, dude, if you just look at like the actual amount of registered voters versus eligible registered voters, and then you get down to the primaries where it's like 12% in some states, and we're not using the power given to us by the Constitution. And I also got to close out on this. I want to remind everybody, me and Nick's a good friend of ours. Even if you see us disagree, we actually chat back and forth online. We're good friends. We have some lively debate. And I'm telling you, the people that say, if that person is a Christian, I want nothing to do with that, realize that they're a sinner and they go to church because it's a hospital to make them well with God. On that, fellas, I appreciate you guys. We got to close out. Thanks, Dick. I had fun. Thanks, Edward.
I think we're gonna make it more single subject and really just dig into single subject, man. Because I go all over the place. You need to force me into like one subject.
All right, we can look at that. Good night, everybody. We will see you next time.